Hey everyone, it's Calverse32 Special. Welcome back to the channel. I want in continuation of the long range 223, video set that I'm working on. First one, if you haven't seen it, be a link to it in the description below. Now, where I did a quick intro for it and showed the basics of what I picked up. So I wanted to do some additional videos showing a little more detail on specific parts. So here is the Athlon Optic scope that I mentioned in the previously. So let's see what all it comes with. Instruction manual and cleaning, lens cleaning cloth. Definitely be something I'm gonna have to read through. If you don't know what that is, that's just a silica desiccant pack, so it keeps moisture out of the box. It's packaged nicely. Got some nice shipping foam, which is convenient because this I picked this up on Amazon. It was about a $280 scope, so not super expensive in the realm of first focal plane optics, but expensive enough that I want to take care of it. It does have an illuminated reticle, and it's nice to see it actually comes with a battery. Plastic washers. I don't know what those are for. I'm betting it's in the instruction manual though. Comes wrapped in plastic. Good. No damage from shipping. That's always nice to see. Awesome. It actually comes with caps already installed. That'll be nice. Protect the lenses on my scope. This is a 6-24. So, and here's the power ring. Snug, but so it won't bump from one power to another easily. But reasonably, but not overly stiff, so it adjusts, well enough. It is an illuminated reticle, but one second, I'm just going to take a quick look through it. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because the reticle is not turned on right now. But it is still visible, so if you decide to not use the illuminated reticle, you still can't, it still gives you a reticle. So it's not, not 100% battery reliant. It does have exposed turrets, because it is more of a target scope. On the left here, we have a, dang, pulling a blank on the name of it. Well, you can tell I'm not super familiar with target scopes. Parallax, that's what it is. I had to give myself a second. Parallax, and it goes from as low as 10 yards up to 500 and then infinity. How exactly that's going to affect, and if, how my shooting, how much I'm going to use it, only time will tell. Elevation knob is, a 1/4 mil click, because these are mil turrets, and the reticle is a mil reticle. I have seen listings online for scopes that have mil reticle but then MOA knobs. To me, that's kind of seems like mixing metric and standard, so something I try to stay away from. I'd rather have my knobs and reticle be in the same unit of measure. Whether or not that's really necessary or not, I don't know. It's just personal preference. And this is my the windage knob, also 1/10, 0.1 MOA, 0.1 mil click. I had to look in the instructions. I don't recall if this has a zero stop on it or not. Kind of hoping it does. If not, then I'll just have to be careful with it. But for $280, I think this will be a drastic improvement over the 3 to 9 by 40 that I have on my rifle at beyond 400 yards and beyond. Under 400, the 3 to 9 by 40 Bushnell that I have on the rifle currently works just fine. You know, it's not a quality issue why I'm swapping it out, it's a magnification issue. To mount this scope, being that this is my first ever 30 mil tube, I got a 30 mil because I wanted more adjustability for windage and elevation as I start reaching out farther, as well as I wanted it to take, a larger tube so it takes more advantage of the larger reticle. Because if you have a 1-inch tube and you start getting into the bigger lens, you at some point you reach a limit where the 30, where that 1-inch tube, which a conversion to give you an approximation, 1 inch is approximately 25.4 millimeters. So 30 millimeter gives you, call it 4.5 millimeter extra in size, which does make it a little bit heavier. But the little bit larger tube allows for a little bit better light transmission. So with the larger, larger optical lens, optical. Yeah, sorry. One of those days apparently. Larger front lens, on a smaller tube, you're gonna, it's gonna hurt, efficiency. So putting a little bit larger tube to go along with the larger lens, it's gonna help with the efficiency. The coatings and this kind of stuff make a difference as well. Would it be enough for most shooters to notice? Maybe not. But being that I wanted to try to stretch this out, I decided to go with the larger tube for more adjustability. Anyhow, for mounting it, I went with a set of Vortex Tactical 30 millimeter rings. And being that I'm mounting it on a 20 MOA rail, and wanted to keep this, the axis of my scope as close to the barrel as I can, so that way there's less of a difference between the center line of the tube and the center line of my barrel. I went with lows because based on the thickness that I'm, the rail and the measurement of center line of the ring to the rail, and then figuring out what my outer diameter of that, of the forward optical bell is, should fit. We'll see. If not, I'll have to order a new set. And if that's the case, I'll tell you guys about it. Speaking of rail, I went with the EGW. What's that stand for? I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm not seeing it on here. Of course, right? 20 MOA. Being that I have a Ruger American Standard short action versus a Remington 700 or a Savage 10, which are more common right now designs, especially in the long range game, I was a little bit more limited as to what brands offered the rail that I needed. EGW had it. Price was somewhat reasonable, so I decided to pick this up. It comes with the hardware and hex bit that you need. That should fit just fine in my fat wrench, so I can properly torque those screws down. Alright everyone, as I get more into this and I start actually using this scope, I'll give you my feedback as to if I think it's worth the $280 or not. And that's for reference, the EGW rail was, I believe, about $35 on Amazon. And the Vortex rings, I think, were $45. I'll provide links to everything in the description. I do not have an affiliate with Amazon. I do not make any money if you use those links. I'm just trying to provide links to them so that way you guys can, if you want to take a look at what I was using in a little more detail, you can. But hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you for stopping by. I'd like to thank everyone for stopping by the channel. If you want to see more of my content, I encourage you to check out my website, calaveras32special.com. Links below in the description. I also encourage you to check out gunchannels.com. Online, two-way community, set up and operated about 5 years ago at this point, by G-Webs, or Mr. Gun Websites. He is a avid activist for our two-way rights, so that's where I encourage you to stop by there, as well as his website, gearwebsites.com, where where a lot of his financing comes from, to help him, fight for our rights. I hope you guys are, willing to stop by, both of those websites. Oh, and before I get on mine, I have my Spreadshirt store link and my Patreon link over there for anyone who is so inclined as to helping out the channel. Much appreciated. And anything I decide any money I get over there, I'll be putting back into the channel, and I'll be giving my patrons a chance to chime in as to what they think I should be using it on. I want to say again, thank you very much for stopping by. Have a wonderful night.